Welcome everybody. I am the air quotes comedian who is so far from being a king that he works as a fluffer for the Black Rook's porn. And this is the Polemics podcast. Welcome. As an anarchist, I am fundamentally opposed to unaccountable hierarchical power, favouring instead horizontal forms of governance where the people actually get to have a real say in the goings-on of their own lives. That being said, if we absolutely had to have an all-powerful ruler, I would favour something metric over something imperial. Looking at you, United States of America. Bad jokes aside, and there are more coming, if we absolutely had to have an all-powerful individual governing us, then what kind of president, emperor or king would we want? One idea bubbling up from the annals of annals of history is that of a philosopher king famously put forward by Pluto, a famous character from antiquity who has since been maligned by his detractors who turned him into a cartoon dog. A philosopher king then, what would that look like? Well, you're not going to find out here because this is an audio-only podcast. A philosopher king then, what might that sound like?
Your Majesty, there is a problem with the drainage in the lower fields, sire. What is your ruling on this urgent matter?
Indeed, there is much to consider, many questions to be asked, many alleys to be explored. What is a field? What is a drainage? What is? Oh, that's a good one. Let me just write that down. Sometimes I'm surprised by my own fucking genius.
Your Highness, the lower field floods as I speak. It is a pressing concern. When can we expect your ruling?
Indeed, I shall have to consult and debate my fellow philosophers at court. There are many questions to be asked, considered and all that. We shall have a really good think about it all and then produce an answer with such impenetrably dense articulation that nobody shall understand it, not even us who wrote it. Perhaps a philosopher king wouldn't be the best idea. How about a king from the game of chess?
Your Majesty, apologies for disturbing you, but there is a small problem of drainage in the lower field. What say you on this matter? Your Highness? Majesty? Cardinal, why does His Magnificence ignore me?
Ow, you have to move one square forward and say check.
That's a strange way of doing things. Fair enough. Check. Ah, His Eminence moved by a courtier, but has yet to respond to my query.
Yes, this court is a complex game of chess. It's very Machiavellian, but as you can see, the king is made from wood, and we'd all be really surprised if he ever said anything. Yes, a king from the game of chess probably wouldn't be ideal, or maybe it would be ideal depending on your point of view. How about a king comedian? Yeah, he said the title of the episode. You, dear viewer, probably thought I was going to be spending the duration of this podcast tooting my own horn or something, didn't you? But no, it's not that, is it? It's about something else entirely. I digress. A comedian king. What could possibly go wrong? And now we enter the court of the king comedian. There he is, sitting upon his comically undersized chair, a chair one might find in a kindergarten, sitting in his chair with two black eyes, a broken nose, and multiple contusions around his facial area. The serf steps forward, bowing deeply to the king.
Your Highness,
I am pretty high now that you mention it.
Very droll, Your Majesty. There is a problem with the I'm sorry, Your Highness, but I have to ask if I may be so bold.
Looks like you got plenty of hair to me.
Ah, yes, supremely amusing, Your Majesty. I have to ask, though, why is it that your face has been beaten so badly?
I'm a politically correct comedian, so I only punch up. Yeah, that would be a shit show as well, wouldn't it? Not to mention that the role of the court jester would have to be filled by a straight man. Look, I didn't make that comedic term up, did I? And it wouldn't have worked as well if I'd had said straight person, would it? It's not just women that are hamstrung by the vestiges of patriarchal thought, it's everybody. But I'm getting off track. The monarchy as an institution is nearly as old as Betty White. But unlike Betty White, it should just fucking die already. Democracy, such as it is now, should also be taken out back and shot in the fucking head. No, I'm not suddenly a flag-waving fascistic authoritarian apologist, am I? Voting once every few years for one of two parties that fundamentally agree on most issues like how to make the rich richer and the poor be grateful for a bowl of sawdust for supper isn't really democracy, is it? I want actual democracy, don't I? But how are we going to get some real honest to non-existent entity democracy? Revolution, that's how. Let's examine the details of our revolution right now. Furries. They get a lot of shit thrown at them by the internet, don't they? If you don't know what a furry is, then you've led a very sheltered life indeed. See, what they are is people who dress up in animal costumes, much like you'd see at a Disney theme park, if you were ever unfortunate enough to have somebody put a gun to your head and force you into a Disney theme park. That's how that works, isn't it? That's how Disney gets people into its theme parks. Anyway, these people dress from head to toe in their animal costumes and then have sex. Because it's both a lifestyle thing and a sex thing. You know, because sex is a part of life, isn't it? The point is that these people are looked down upon by other people on the internet, which boggles my mind. What consenting adults do in the privacy of our public spaces is their own damned business. You might be thinking that I royally messed up, dear viewer, and that somehow I cut and pasted the audio from a different podcast into this one. What the fuck do furries have to do with overthrowing the current system of governance, you might ask? Currently on my YouTube channel I have 7 subscribers. This despite consistently telling people not to subscribe to my YouTube channel, right? I think they do it just to annoy me. Ha ha ha! Air quotes comedian doesn't want subscribers, so let's subscribe to him. I can't control what people do though. I can only make requests of them. Again, you might be thinking that I've messed things up, dear viewer, but I promise you there's a payoff. Not a good payoff, but there is one. It all ties together neatly in the end. My plan is that when I reach 10 subscribers, I am going to furnish them with furry costumes, provide some really hardcore military-grade weaponry, by which I mean those plastic guns that fire ping pong balls you can get from Walmart. Then we'll gather together at the real seat of power in the world, CIA headquarters, and we're going to storm up to the front gate and inform the guard at the front gate that the rules of engagement are thus. If you get hit with a ping pong ball, then you're dead. You can also fire ping pong balls at us, the insurrectionists, but because you outnumber us, we get 3 mulligans. Those are the rules of this act of sedition. Unfortunately, our budget can't cover the cost of supplying everybody at CIA headquarters with ping pong ball guns, so you will all have to head to Walmart and buy those yourselves, and then when you return, we can begin. Then, and this is the best part, when they all head out to Walmart, we go in, and that's that. That's how you do a revolution. That's how Fidel Castro did it, and if it's good enough for him, then it's good enough for me. That's it for this episode of the Polemics. Be sure to hit the dislike button and unsubscribe if you're already subscribed, and remember, thus far the government hasn't had the foresight to regulate ping pong ball guns. The fools.